Nous sommes heureux d'être ici, mais je parle en anglais. Je m'excuse. The case for adult education is absolutely central to development in the world. You can't have clean water, you can't have sustainability, you don't get improvements in maternal survival, you don't have children having improved diets without adults learning. And yet we have 781 million people in the world who don't have literacy. Without literacy, your chance of having full participation as citizens in your society is really difficult. And that's despite promises from 1990 and 2000 to address literacy as a priority. We also have challenges for people to have decent learning to maintain decent work across the world. We have, to go back to literacy for a moment, 2 in 3 of the people who don't read and write are women. And if you look at the learning opportunities of women across the board, you can see that discrimination is alive and well. And the gap we see between the promises we all make through our governments to create a world, in the words of the UN General Secretary, where no one is left behind. The gap between that hope and what we can deliver on the ground is a huge one. So why are we meeting in Montreal? Well, firstly, we're immensely grateful to our member and partner in ICAE for hosting us. But we meet every 3 or 4 years to remind the world that there is more to education than the education of children, and that if we want the successful education of children, their parents also need to be engaged in learning. We meet in order to address the fierce rise in inequality that we see in the world and to try to make a difference to the gap between global promises and local practices. And that's the focus of this meeting that we're having this week. Our task, we just seen a very inspiring World Education Forum in Korea a fortnight ago. And we can expect in New York in September new global goals for the next 15 years to be agreed. But before that, in Addis Ababa in July, the financial priorities are being set, and surprise, surprise, adults are not yet there. So we have a key advocacy role globally, and then we have the job of finding in each of our countries ways of making sure that the case for adult education is effectively put. And to that, there's no question that when people from all over the world come together, we derive new energy, new commitment to insist that we can make a world worth living in, one which is not built on the exclusion of millions and millions of people, but by the inclusion and creativity of us all. And that's what we're trying to do.